Okay. This time we're starting our...
We are starting.
Okay. You'll no longer see my again, please goodbye.
This is the defendant lobby, alright. But there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach one all morning. Where could she be?
Getting breakfast.
And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if...
Something's been happening behind the scenes. She's back.
Worth.
Knowing you've already figured it out. You're the owner of the 77777777777 ID number, that is.
Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out.
You know, the only reason that Kyle didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. And if that number does belong to who you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything.
True. Not yet.
In any event, once all data has been reviewed, we will collect the list and call for ruling. 5 minutes, right, and Chief Prosecutor Sky will be found guilty.
But he didn't do it!
I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here, to hear what you have to say.
This is the first time he's ever done something like this.
As for you,
Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her.
the truth?
Everything goes back to the SL9 incident.
Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past.
That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened.
I'll think about it. See you in court, right?
See you after court, Edgeworth.
In bed.
This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now.
February 25th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 9. In session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky.
The defense is ready, Your Honor.
The prosecution is ready, Your Honor.
This is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make.
Chief Gant.
Morning, folks! How's everyone doing? Hey, Archie, been back to the port yet?
Been drowning enough as it is in my work.
That's a good one. Don't figure I could top that.
If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours?
Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court.
Wants to do what?
Having heard what she has to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, It should save everyone a lot of time and trouble.
What's this all about, Defender?
Just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished.
What?
Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial.
Huh?
I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office.
No, Lana! Objection! You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's...
That case, Mr. Wright. I no longer require your services.
Lana!
Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my rights to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please.
Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial. If Mr. Wright may feel otherwise.
This can't be happening.
It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendants...
Objection! One moment, Your Honor.
Sir Edgeworth!
The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would be certainly premature.
Come now, Avi. I understand this is a difficult time for you. But why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, hmm?
I don't think I get your tone, Chief Gams.
What?
Reading another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession to the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes.
Some kind of deal, hmm? Not everyone operates the same as you do, Avi.
I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony.
Hold it! Oh, shit.
Hold it. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue.
I don't know what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it will be even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it.
shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Kent?
Worry. You'll live to regret this. Mark my words.
Miss Emma Sky, please take the stand.
Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins.
Now then, witness, please say your name and occupation.
My name is Emma Sky. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator.
2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Darkey of the Joe Darkey killings. This is correct.
Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to call you. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to call those events one more time.
Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant?
Yes, it most certainly
Okay then.
He sure gave in fast.
is. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago.
The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial.
I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabs Mr. Marshall in the chest.
Thing you weren't harmed.
I passed out. I don't remember much.
Understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth. What does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder?
That will soon become apparent, Your Honor.
Got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence.
Again, it's cross-examination.
Hold it! A man?
Yes, Joe Dark. He was a serial killer.
Joe Darkey was brought into question on the day of that ceremony. He just may get angry or lead to an arrest.
Saw his chance. He fled the room, right?
While clearing the room, Darkey proceeded to take the elevator. Must have been in a panic, because the elevator was going up. Then he ran to Sky and Gansel.
There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him.
What was the prosecutor doing there?
That day, there are two people present during Darkey's questioning. Deputy
Almost forgot about Gant.
Your marshal had just received the King of Prosecutors award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the question room right after the ceremony.
This would be why he was the first to run after dark.
When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead.
And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in.
I don't clearly remember what happened then. But
I think the audio is definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think accent switched. Are you second?
Still doubled.
Yeah.
Double?
yeah, like it's coming from your mic.
Are you using headphones, Kritten?
Yeah,
Just do that.
that's probably why. Yeah.
Oh gosh, my internet cut out for like 10 seconds and I got so scared.
No! That's contagious!
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold it. Can you tell us about that?
Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark. Just then, the lights went out.
The lights?
It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby.
So the electricity went out?
A minute? If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right?
Right, but just then, lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind.
I see.
I told a detective about what I saw then.
The detective?
Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case.
Detective Bruce Goodman, the victim. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago.
Yes. That's what's so scary about this trial.
I didn't tell Detective Goodman about what you saw.
Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture.
A picture. Yes, I think she mentioned that before.
Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough?
This picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning.
Objection! The list of evidence I was given 2 years ago, didn't contain a picture.
Do you mind if we added this statement to your testimony?
Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost.
Hold it! You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right?
I wanted to do everything I could to help in the investigation. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes.
That's strange. I checked over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died. Yet, I never received anything. Perhaps the witness is mistaken?
But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it.
I'm not trying to gaslight you or anything, but I really don't think
Edgeworth, art can come from anywhere. This picture that Emma drew, that reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again.
Well, anyways, let's continue. The scene that imprinted image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us?
The man...
Evidence list.
Yes.
the best police sketch in the world.
Whoa!
Oh god, that's such a good drawing.
That's rad. I mean, that is pretty good though. Very detailed.
For a 14-year-old.
For something hot in the moment.
I see the silhouette of a man.
Objection! Mr. Edgeworth. This little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you would insist on denying its existence?
Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture.
That may well be. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold.
The evidence list for the SL9 incident.
Please turn it over, Your Honor.
Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! What's this?
Yes. What is that?
Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew.
Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here.
Objection! What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list?
Me?
Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list.
Huh? These lists, they're different from each other.
What?
Would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here, where they were torn apart from each other.
So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you.
What? What?
Guy, why did you draw your picture on the back of such an important list?
Because that's what Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor.
Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor!
Eyes are bulging from your head!
If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list.
Quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth.
It's possible. Let's see.
You okay there?
Something wrong?
Need a bathroom break?
Do you need some prunes?
Tum tum.
You even have to ask.
Sorry, Your Honor. There's indeed something drawn in the back of my head that I've conveniently not seen at all for the past few years. It's that thing!
Whoa! Cursed.
That thing!
I fear
Roger.
no harm, but
I fear no evil. But that thing that was dancing in the evidence room!
Clearly,
it scares me.
this actor Sandlin is a worthless certain chief of detectives.
I guess he was out of scrap paper.
Archie.
Please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago.
Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor.
What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she was looking at the picture.
This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant.
To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind.
Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw.
See any contradictions here? Clearly shows Joe Dark about to murder prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination.
Hold it! Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw?
Of course! This is the exact scene!
It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives?
Objection! Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated your memory, Mr. Wright?
No, of course not. I'd better watch out or he might find some way to cut my salary.
Mr. Wright. What's something wrong?
Hey, first time.
I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives. So I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me.
Wait. Something that's bothering you about this picture?
Huh? Oh, well... It's strange. She claims this is exactly the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here.
Did he get stabbed in the back?
Yeah, he got something in the back.
Stabbed in the back?
Oh.
Objection! I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction.
What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday.
You're right. Perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy reports?
I don't know how exactly I need
I would assume it's the arm in front of the chest, because you can't do that when you're backwards, unless you're very good.
Yeah. I think it's this part here.
I don't see what's so strange about that.
That's because the drawing stinks!
Mr. Right.
I'm so sorry, Emma.
I'm sorry about just acting too hard.
Bullying this child.
The act of making an innocent girl cry should warrant the death penalty.
Man,
Why does the right always bully children?
Like me!
You spend so much
God,
time
I
around
was a little
anyway.
kid. God. Idiot.
Yeah.
Idiot.
I guess he means I shouldn't shift the blame to others.
So long as the defense has learned his lesson.
I'd better take another look at that autopsy report and this picture.
Right. Perhaps it'd be that stuff.
I am a truther, Mr. Right. A truther! I am no liar.
So I think that's good. Their positions are actually switched. Like, it's supposed to be, I think, Neil Marshall.
Yeah.
But,
I want. Would it be the knife then?
that's what
Maybe point at the knife?
Yeah.
Take that! The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, guess not. You can see its tip is broken.
No, I don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright.
But, Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too.
Cole. The tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body.
It was a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer.
I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma.
Objection! And where, pray tell, could you see a problem?
It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken.
Oh yeah, I think it has, there are two problems. There's like the hand.
The meaning of this.
Objection! Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand.
Objection! Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there.
Hey, does this mean?
Objection! The tip of the knife was only The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is that the witness's memory is mistaken.
Objection. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time,
What?
but she was sure she remembered correctly.
But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency.
Objection! Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsified evidence?
You're treading on thin ice, right?
All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility.
No. Ugh.
Entirely possible.
Order! Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted?
Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding the ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie.
I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife.
If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This cannot have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife.
What are the chances of there being two broken knives?
Another broken knife beside Joe Dark's? Could there have been one? If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error.
You're right.
In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife.
Then you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us.
The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon.
Get this murder weapon.
Images with ominous auras.
That. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past.
No way.
Right here inside this picture.
This is a picture of the award ceremony. Ah!
Mr. Edgeworth?
It's the broken murder weapon.
Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding.
That's a broken knife.
As we earlier concluded, the knife in the drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, The knife the witness saw was in all likelihood from this award. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation.
Objection! But that can't be.
Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth?
Because if the King of Prosecutors' award knife was a murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed.
What do you mean?
I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Oh.
The executor was the one who actually died!
That's true. What's going on here?
It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions.
Hold it! Wait, I remember now. I remember everything!
Cutting me off.
Yeah.
Witness!
Mr. Edgeworth,
What is it?
could you show me your evidence list again, please?
The one with that picture scribbled on the back?
I knew it. This picture, I'm the one who drew it.
What?
You drew that?
That's right.
He created the Blue Badger.
The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time, I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me.
Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you recalled, Miss Sky?
Yes, Your Honor.
First the knife mix-up, and now the Blue Badger? This should be interesting.
I hold the copyrights to the Blue Badger.
Original content, do not steal.
When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the Blue Badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow.
Blue Badger saves the day.
This is certainly most unusual.
Objection! Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even what? The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him yet until this year.
That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago.
The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Yeah.
Stop. Please, don't pursue this any further.
Lana!
Continue with this. Please remain seated in the defendant's chair.
But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that?
Chief Prosecutor Sky. You've already come this far. It's too late to turn back.
Silence! The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendants.
Seems we're finally getting to the core of this matter. Hold it! What do you mean, you think?
It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur.
Miss Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural.
I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with a knife.
What you did was very brave, young girl. So then, what happened next?
Just then, they're overshoot. I don't need to read this part.
His shadow? So, you mean you didn't actually see his face, what with its winning smile and all?
That's right. But I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns.
Objection! This is pointless! That thing could have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken.
Objection! That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did.
Oh? And I suppose you have an explanation? If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was.
What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger really? The blue badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room.
Oh god.
Mr. Wright!
In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious blue badger look-alike.
Surprise. Here we
I
go.
can't believe the Blue Badger's a time-traveling magician. What can he not do?
Wow, that's
Is it that face?
Oh, really?
Maybe.
odd shape. Huh. 3 horns?
The mysterious blue badger was in fact this.
But that's... what exactly is that?
I believe it's some sort of jar.
Or?
But, Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger.
Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint?
Oh god.
viewpoint.
Hold on, I'm gonna get the guide out to minimize my pain and suffering in this. Getting like 4 times.
What are you talking about? This is the best part.
Do you have to like perfectly line up
It's
the
so
vase with the
annoying.
silhouette?
It's the most frustrating.
Got to show them the correct angle to look at this from.
The first time I did this was the worst thing in the world. It's still bad, like every other time that I've done it, because it's just really hard to get right. It's
I assume this the bottom is supposed to be the top one, right? So you just like flip it over and add an angle.
It's a little bit more than that. It's not
Oh.
exactly perfect. It's like rotated a little bit. Let's see, I need the trial ladder. Dale 3. Yeesh. On top of listening to this music too.
We're talking about this music's fire. Listen to it 10 hours a day.
They just decided, you know, on all the parts where you have to look at the same thing for an extended period of time, let's play the Blue Badger theme.
They knew what's up.
Let's see. Okay, H, B, N, M, Q, and R. Oh dear. Okay. It's like right around.
Looks like you kind of got it when you
Yeah, because
rotated it down.
I'm looking at like the picture. I'm looking at the picture right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't really
Got
feel
it.
like going through the pain of this over and over.
Yeah. I feel you.
Like, literally exactly right. Yeah, why not? Please accept that. No!
No!
Oof.
This isn't right. I've got to make it look more like a Blue Badger.
Allow me to remind the defense that the case hinges on the witness's drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim.
Got to find just the right angle.
Yeah.
SMH.
Come on, Mr. Wright. You can do it.
Okay, but what are the odds that she saw the vase at that angle?
What are the odds of two bodies dying at the same time when it's the same body in the case? Or something. I remember this case.
Imagine this stuff passing in real court. Could never.
Imagine being the jury in this court.
Oh, shoot! I didn't press E. Oh no! I was trying to press
Come on,
R.
Butterfingers.
Objection. Mr. Wright can't be smart enough for the spatial reasoning.
Like, why don't you try it, Ruth?
Please accept this. What?
Again.
Hey.
I'll just retake like
At least you're not losing any health.
Yeah.
that would be so bad.
Oh yeah, you just... Yeah, and then
A little more.
rotate it along the z-axis.
Yeah. Rotate it down a little more. Does that look good? Maybe a little more? Or
It looks.
Pretty good.
close enough? Yeah. Close enough.
I think that looks pretty good. I would rotate it down a tiny bit more.
Very slightly. Yeah.
Like, down along the XX. Yeah. That looks
Yes!
good. That looks good.
That's better. That's gotta work. That better work.
Thank you.
Yes!
Well, is this a miracle or what?
Yes.
No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the Blue Badger.
No. It can't be! Why is this minigame in the game?
Grr. Grr. The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this!
Objection! Although we enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance and, extremely long time to show us what he wanted, one question remains. What's your point?
What do you mean?
So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything.
Objection! I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything.
Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar?
Is it the location? Or...
Allow me to take these in turn.
Actually,
At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar.
at a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright.
Yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jar?
Where?
The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gams.
Objection! But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself.
Objection! Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office.
Objection! Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office?
Yes.
Why would he do that? There's no reason.
Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason.
No way.
Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright?
Finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who's holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying?
That must have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall?
Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit?
heard Jasmine for half a second.
That's okay, my mic just likes to cut out my scream. Just pretend there was a scream there.
Alright, go on, screaming again.
Do it again.
Encore.
Suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword.
Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to be Neil Marshall, wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy.
No. Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking.
Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room.
A possibility?
Of course the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this.
The right? What's the matter?
If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man MSI knocked away was actually prosecutor Neil Marshall,
F in the chat.
Shot for accidental murder. Which I guess is manslaughter.
You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No!
I never imagined your testimony would lead to this.
Oh! It was the victim! It was the witness who took the victim's life! And then proved so with her own testimony! This is unprecedented!
But what are you saying?
I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances,
Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her?
Imagine that, coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out what happened to Emma did. From finding out about what was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it?
I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall?
evidence.
I'm willing to bet you don't.
It would be difficult to prove this with evidence.
We don't have evidence. And we'll have to rely on testimony.
I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead.
We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning.
Touche, Miss Sky. Of course. That only leaves us with only one possibility.
You mean there's still another possibility?
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
I mean, the possibility the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, in one manner or another.
That's impossible.
The only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist?
Got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. This message from the deceased is already in our possession.
Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer?
Do not be mistaken, Miss Guy. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be.
Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased.
That! This is the message left by the deceased.
Ledger from before, right?
Sorry. Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name?
If that thing could, I'm sure it would.
Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here on the surface of this jar.
What do you mean?
If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar.
It looks like someone wiped the blood away.
Yes, but notice. For some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away.
In here, drawn in blood.
So what you're saying is that these dots were once lines.
Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message.
One that someone apparently wiped away. The blood must stick to the jar where the lines change directions.
Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points. And the victim's message will become apparent.
No.
You're right. What kind of message did the victim leave for us?
Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. Got to connect these dots to make letters.
Obviously, it's the Avengers symbol in the middle.
There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. His murderers.
And normally you'd be doing this
Oh,
with
that's
the stylus.
I see.
Stretch.
Be Emma,
We're
right?
just grabbing the marker and just drawing over the evidence. Nice. Ah!
Need to connect the dots, not everything else.
Perhaps not everything makes sense.
Hello.
I'm so sorry, Emma.
Turns out Emma was a cold-blooded killer this entire time.
Oh, you've caught me
That's
red-handed.
why she wanted to be friends with
Demon Gant
Francis.
did nothing wrong.
He's just a swimmer.
Yeah. He likes to
People
swim and
like
lend
our-
people money.
Aged sports enthusiasts.
Aha! We did it! It was Emma!
Take that.
I'm doing a straw.
But you're done drawing. Oh, you meant just drawing.
Can I spell like another name? Maya, maybe?
I tried spelling different stuff when I played through. Take that! It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma.
So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind.
Of all people! She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life
Was Emma Sky.
Seaworthy? Can't say I didn't warn you.
Chief Garrett.
Do you understand the implications of what you've done?
What? What are you talking about?
2 years ago, Joe Doc was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction.
Objection! But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable.
I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice?
What?
We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied.
I'm at the prosecutor's office.
They might have sent an innocent man to his death.
can't just stand there like it wasn't his fault. The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess.
Oh, that's gonna be an awkward defendant's room.
Where this trial is headed, no one knows.
To be continued.
You.
My voice is actually.
Oh no. Protect your voice,
The
Crichton.
trial latter.
Objection!
I'm getting more Ricolas.
More what?
Ricolas. It's the only thing keeping me going.
Ricola, yeah.
I thought you said equalize.
Equala.
And I was like, wait, what?
I'm getting E. coli. I need you.
Ebola?
Wow, remember when Ebola was a thing instead of coronavirus? Wow.
Ebola was so good. Why isn't there an Ebola too? And then COVID happens.
The devs. The devs. I'll just stop the recording for now. Then we'll start the recording back up.